Okay, welcome to part 4 of the video game design tutorial. And in our last part, we got a graphic to follow the mouse, and we also set up a mouse event, a mouse click event, so we can click somewhere and it will generate the you attacked and then the tiles location based off of int mouse x and int mouse y, which we created by designating them each to be about 32 pixels in length in the code based on the mouse move. Now let's go ahead and make like a basic editor, meaning we're going to try to create a palette and we'll be able to change things while clicking on the graphics. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the program and let's scroll back up to the top. We need another global variable, and this is going to be our paintbrush variable. So paintbrush, and we'll just do dim int paintbrush, and let's set it equal to a value, and let's just say 0. Oops, as an integer, of course. Okay, so we have a paintbrush right now set to 0, and you probably can already guess that we're going to have different colors be different numbers, or different graphics. So let's go to where we generate our tiles, which is over here, and we need to make sure that if we are having colors appear on the map based on where we click, we need to make sure it happens after we generate our tile. So over here, let's go ahead and create a few new brushes. So these will be our paint brushes, and I'm going to create a few. The first one, let's do a G fill rectangle, comma brushes, and you've seen this code before, so it shouldn't be new to you. And we're going to have a red brush, or actually let's do a green brush. Green, we haven't used the green color yet, I believe. So a green brush, and this is going to kind of be like our table, so we're going to have its position be, let's see, 21 times 32 pixels. Because this is going to extend slightly past our 19 times 32 pixels, so it's going to be outside of the grid, and you'll see what I mean in a second. And let's also have the height of it be 4 times 32 pixels, and then the size will be 32 pixels by 32 pixels. So that's one for our green brush. Now I'm going to also copy and paste one of these down for our, let's do blue, for our blue brush. So our blue brush will be 21 by 32, and then we're going to put this one slightly below it, so let's do a 6 by 32 location for the Y direction. And if you run your code real quick, you'll be able to see very quickly what we did. We just created 2 additional blocks over here, and what I want to do is I want to be able to click one of these blocks and it will give me that color in my brush. This red kind of gets in the way though, as you notice, so let's go ahead and switch that back to an outline. So G fill, or G draw rectangle, and we need to change the brushes to a pen or pens so that it just gives us the outline. Let me run it to double check, and now you can see that this is much better than it was before. So now that we got that set, let's start changing the values of int paintbrush so that when the program's running and we click on this square over here, it changes the value of int paintbrush to 1, and when we click on the blue, it's going to change the value of int paintbrush to 2. And if we have those colors in place, we can change the colors elsewhere in our map. So since that's happening when we click on the screen, when we click on one of those colors, we need to be sure that we are in the mouse click event handler, which we've already created. Now this message box popping up every single time will get annoying, so I'm just going to go ahead and disable it for now. And I'm going to write the code we need right underneath it. So if let's see, int mouse x is equal to, and I believe we set the green at 21 and 4 in terms of location, 21 and 4. So 21 and you've got to write and, not the ampersand, int mouse y is equal to 4, then let's change the value of int paintbrush to 1. Else if int mouse x is equal to 21 and int mouse y is equal to 6, then, and that happens from time to time, int paintbrush is equal to 2. And I got the 21 and 6 because that was the location of the blue to the side, 21 and 6. So we are now getting the values of in Paintbrush, and we are changing them. To prove it, let's go ahead and where we have our g.drawString command, let's add a little bit more to that right over here after int mouse y. And VBCRLF paintbrush and int paintbrush. Whoops. Int paintbrush. And I might have spelled that wrong. Let me check what I did. And that, and I forgot an and here. Okay. So that's what I just changed over here. And now let's give this a run. And you'll notice in your program, if you click anywhere, nothing happens. But if you click on the green, it should change your paintbrush value to 1. And if you click on the blue, it should change your paintbrush value to 2. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And now that we have the values changing from 1 or 2 inside of our mouse click event handler, let's also change them on the screen. Now the only problem we have thus far is that every time this program loop runs, the overall draw graphics command, it's automatically going to redraw the entire map every single time. So it's kind of difficult to save a value when when we're not saving a value pretty much. When it's just nothing's being saved into memory, it's just a constant drawing over and over and over again. So we're going to want to save our map every single time, and when we change values, it will change it permanently instead of just overwriting itself over and over and over again. So in order to do that, we're going to need a variable, and we're going to need a very powerful variable as well. And the most powerful variable we know is an array. It can store a lot of values, so we'll call this int map. And it's going to store in our entire map. But a one-dimensional array is too weak for the program we want to make, so we're going to make a two-dimensional array. And they're pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and, since if we think of our program in terms of like tile size, I think it maxes out at like 30 tiles or something. Let's set this one to a max value of 30 by 30 for our int map. So to demo what I'm talking about, this here is 0, 0. Is that within 30 to 30? Yes. This is 0, 1, 0, 2, or wait, this is 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, etc., etc. And if we went down, this would be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. All these values are within 30, 30. So it will be able to change anything within these bounds. Now, if our map is massive, if it's bigger than 30 tiles by 30 tiles, which ours luckily isn't, then we'd have to increase this to maybe 40 by 40 or something so that it could cope with the additional values that we added. But 30 by 30, when the most we can do is 22 by 15, should be fine. So that's int map 30 by 30. And now let's go back to our clicking command, because when we click, we change the value of int paintbrush, and we're going to also rewrite the tile values. So if paintbrush or int paintbrush is equal to 1, then int map at the coordinates of int mouse x and int mouse y is equal to 1. Else if int paintbrush is equal to 2, then we're going to change the coordinates at int mouse x and int mouse y to 2. Else, let's say we are just going to leave it at 0. Int mouse x, int mouse y is equal to 0. So 1, like we said before, is the value of green. 2 is the value of blue. And 0 is going to be the value of burleywood. So now each tile is going to be representing a value. By default, all these tiles are 0. But if we click over here at the 0, 0 block, it's going to, at int mouse x and int mouse y, since this is 0, 0, as you can see at the side here, it's going to change it to the value of 1. And if it changes it to the value of 1, we're going to make it change to green. So 0, 0 equals 1, and we're going to change it to green. And to do that, we need to head back up to our loop. And where's our loop at? It's right over here. And now we're going to, let's think about this for a second. Okay, I feel like I might have accidentally deleted something. And I'm guessing that's my burleywood. I guess I might have accidentally deleted it. Let me just write it back here. You probably already have it. So brushes.burleywood at the coordinates and size of R. And R is, of course, this rectangle we generated. So let's create conditions for this. So if int map at the coordinates of int x and int y, and I'm getting int x from here and int y from here, since it's like cycling through the loop through all those values. So if this is equal to 0, then we're going to have the color of burleywood. Else if int map, let me just copy this, it'll be a little bit faster. Else if int map x, y is equal to 1, then copy this, paste it here. Let's change the color to green, I believe we said. And else if our value is equal to 2, then let's change it to blue. Okay, so now our loop that's running through and generating all our tiles for our map, now every time it runs through, it's going to run into our array, our two-dimensional array, and it's just going to look at the values. If it's 0, meaning we haven't clicked on it with any paintbrush, it's just going to paint normal burleywood. Else it's going to paint the color green if it's 1, because we like changed the value over here. And or else it's going to change the value to blue. So let's go ahead and give that a run. And here's our command. If I'm clicking on anything, you'll see the paintbrush value is 0, so it's doing nothing. I'm going to click on green. It changes the paintbrush value to 1. And now go ahead and click on some tiles. And you'll notice that it changes the color of them permanently. So since it's being stored in a two-dimensional array, it's changing the colors. I'm going to click on blue. And as you can see, what we've just created is a basic map editor, which is pretty cool. We can like make water and land and everything, which is awesome. Okay. So here comes your next activity, or what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to, on your map editor, I'd like you to create two more colors, and you can choose whatever colors you'd like them to be. I want them to be located at this tile and at this tile. So like this one has the green and the blue over here, put two more colors, one here and one here. And when you click on that color or you click on this color, you'll be able to change the color onto the map. So you'll be able to put two additional colors on your map editor. So that's the next challenge. Before you continue with the video, complete that. And then raise your hand and show me before moving on.